The 7th anniversary with Law and Teach may have ended, but what is still missing is the celebration day of March. Yes, March. They didn't think too much about it. It's the first time I see that they ran out of imagination to be able to give a correct celebration, right? Celebration of the Peje Lagarto, flying Japanese, yada yada yada, whatever! They prefer to give us the life of March. It's okay, I don't discuss it as long as what is revealed is something interesting. So, this live is going to happen on the 4th of this month, with a lot of information about the game, with the high possibilities of a new extreme. It is not confirmed that it's going to be like that, but with this type of details, it will surely end up being one. A third X to start the year. And the question is quite obvious. Who could it be? In this case, I can only think of two possibilities, in which one, they want Kuma to be finally separated from his daughter and how he's supposed to Boni be transforming into Nika, and the other option is that it can be another Gorosei, because Cross Guild option is not that I'm an attractive idea, but they have done nothing, they haven't fought with anyone, they have barely met to each other, they have given a couple of words, a speech, and that's it. But Heat, Shanks didn't do too much, and he still got an extreme. Well, yes, but Shanks, at least he has a Kamuzari. At least he appeared in the new arc. Instead, Buggy against who fucked after the time skip? Crocodile, Mihawk. What has he done after the time skip? If they try to release Cross Guild now, it will be a combination of skills that they have already done before the 2 years. They can, of course. The one in charge here is Bandai. If they want to release it, just release it. What I'm saying is that the red-haired did at least have one skill to use. On the other hand, returning to the main issue of whether or not it should be the new Boni or Nusjuro, just by seeing the image of the tape that appears above the band, the stripe, that is purple. Or whatever color you want to call it, but it looks like that. The same color we had when Saint Saturn was about to be released. Even if I like to try to give some solid argument about Boni being released, that image should be white, right? But the dark majority, to me, it gives the confidence to say that we are most likely getting that bald old man. Nusjuro may be around the corner. And a while ago, a new effect was leaked, or at least the new game ID is called Agility Effect. Agility. That is on the data, but no one knows what it does or what it will be used for, so it's probably for a new character. It has to be. Boni doesn't have a state of ability. On the other hand, Mr. Horse, who began to run and then attack with his sword, well, of course, yes. To be a state or effect, beneficial, or maybe to harm the enemy, but you don't expect something that do damage to be called agility, right? So surely it's going to be some kind of hacky state. But the effects are already countered. How are they going to get a new hacky state character? Certainly, characters like that has been countered. Looking at Sabo, what will counter him now? The strongest is Zetto, that removes effects that benefits power users. Or Kizaru, that when he attacks runners does the same. Just thinking about those two, we will have to imagine a character who is not a power user and is not a runner preferably. On that side, it would come out quite well. What would be left is with the last buffs. We had the new Shirohige, which is skill 2, now removes also the hacky state. And in that case, there is no way to do it. If he attacks you, he took it away from you. But since it's a skill that only attacks in the flag, as long as your character nullifies effects while in treasure area or just attack from a long distance, there will not be affected too much. Maybe the hacky state is just to ignore capture in any case. So, as you can see, it's not that the hacky state characters are totally discontinued. There are ways to find a way to play. Also, if you don't have any parameter boosted, neither Snake nor Lucci will be able to remove your haki. Only Shirohige will remain. Or, if he ends up being RGB, in the worst case scenario, Dark Zoro might counter you. Hopefully, that guy will increase more because I like him a lot. But even against him, it will be simply solved just by making Nusjuro light. Let's say maybe a light attacker, not a first user, who hasn't boosted parameters. How does that sound? Who is going to remove his hacky state in this case? Who? Only Shirohige, if he gets close to his flag. If not, there's no way. Unless Dory have his comeback, that I remember he and Uta Dark are the only ones that removes Haki State against lights, right? That's very specific, and right now it will be very rare to them come back. In any case, what I want to imply is that there is a way for the Haki State users to continue playing as long as they hit the right conditions. Personally, I would not like end up being attacker, although we need an attacker that really counters Kizaru, because Teach can sometimes works, and sometimes maybe you get one-shotted by the light guy. What we need now the most is a runner, because from Defender's perspective, we have good Zeto, Saturn, the recent buffed Shirohige. Those three are all excellent. You can play with that kind of characters and it will go well. In the attacker side, well, we have Kuma, Teach, Chopper, Kizaru, and a lot more. It seems like this is the class that the most characters can be played out of the three. But for the runners, Luffy and Law are super countered by Teach. We will hardly have Jinbe as the only one who can tank all the characters in this new meta and take the flag. The only one who I think he cannot get one-shotted by Kizaru, Zeto, Teach, or some other characters. Yeah, Jinbe is tankier. So if it were up to me, character is a runner. I don't know. Like Saturn, I hope that this new guy has something against the attackers. It will be the best way to make the runners look like a little more usable in this meta. And maybe say, you are going to take my Haki State, Kizaru, right? Then take it.
Now I am going to take your life.
It's what will have been happening so that at least those characters could fight. And since I don't think I'm going to put them exactly the trait of immortality just like Saturn has, because surely they will want to do it differently, imagine that by being in agility mode, you gain speed, can ignore capture, and also regenerate 80% of total damage received, including status effects, including percentage damage, 80%! For just a time, let's say couple seconds, 10 seconds could be good, in which all damage is recovered every time you get hit, immediately. It will be a kind of immortality because you couldn't kill it, especially with tiny damage like Kizaru's Golden Rain, and it will be very funny to watch how it heals every time and stands like nothing happened, because most of it you will regenerate. And if he is immune to anti-heal, well, even better. The thing is that they continue to increase the possibility that in the future, when they come to buff Shang Tsung Red, he can counter the max regeneration with reduced max HP and end up being the best counters for Goroseis. But Saturn and the supposed idea of Nusjuro I had would be quasi-immortal Goroseis, whose unique weakness, aside from ignoring the recovery when KO'd, would be the HP cut Shang Tsung Red has dealt to them. The path for a possible return of King Shang's Red would be cemented. And in terms of how it could be played, how can I tell you? What we need is an aggressive runner, since Law didn't put his chest. But the group being destroyed by Teach is no good. If we need a runner, we need someone that can fight. If you have noticed lately, there is a pattern and we're starting from Kizaru, who is weak against characters who have good basic attacks. Let's continue with Luffy. His main damage reduction is against skills, so a good basic attack can do a lot of damage to them. Later on, with Saturn, his damage reduction, just like Luffy, is only from skills. So anyway, his reduction serves no purpose against basic attacks. Now you notice the pattern, right? The moment an extreme comes out and is focused on having good basic attacks and good damage on them, not on their skills, it could end up deleting the vast majority of characters depending on the color, of course. But even more, that the basic attacks ignores defense. When in agility mode, it will be like slicing butter when facing Kizaru, for example, since he has no defense and no damage reduction because it depends on great damages. The basics don't usually do that much, not like a skill. Against Saturn himself, you ignore defense, there goes one, and the damage reduction because you're attacking with basic attacks. It would be very easy to lower his lives. And against Law, well, this is really easy, just like Saturn. Without damage reduction, against the basic, he cannot mitigate anything. Just like paper, it will fall. You are not a power user, so against Teach, it shouldn't go bad either. The only one who could survive at least a little is Giant Luffy. Remember, you can't ignore his defense, but surely you will do some damage as much as Brook Egghead can do to him. And believe me, it really can harm Luffy. From here, it really matters to what color it can come, and there are only 2 options. I want you to think for a brief moment why there are only 2 options for him if he is Nusjuro. I'm going to give you a clue. There is a character that no matter what you do can one-shot him. That the Nusjuro should have an advantage against him, because if not, he already had a hard counter from day 1. And of course, I am talking about Kuma and Bonnie. This character has increased damage against Tenryubitos. If he comes out dark just like Saturn, you could start forgetting about playing him. Maybe he could one-shot you as well. So the only way to mitigate the damage would be either be light, which I don't think he's going to be, having Teach in the meta. So the perfect color, because there is a greater color advantage against red, would be blue. They can give the trait that when he is attacked specifically by an attacker, he takes away the attack boost. Then against Kuma Bonnie, they'll fight with the base attack stats. Even if they have 50% increased damage against Ryubito plus 30% with Kuma, well, they can give you something like 50% damage reduction to pair up with. And then being a red against a blue one, you should be able to mitigate damage so well. But there is something else important. Let's recap how Kuma Bonnie gets his damage reduction. Only when attacked by a skill by an attacker who has attack boost. If Nusjuro ends up being a blue runner, he's not an attacker. He also will not have attack boosted due to his ability to ignore defense through basics. So again, this means slicing through butter. It will fall really quickly. But let's say they can surprise you still, they have a chance to defeat you, we still try to figure it out. If this character does not end up being what I'm telling you, rest assured that the moment you release an improved version of Brook, defense ignorer in the basic attack if he's not an attacker and the attack is not boosted, that guy will be responsible for the fall of the new meta. And the only one who will be saved, maybe it's Luffy. And you tell me, what do you expect to be the new extreme? What do you think about all this? This mechanic that I say that everything will start to fall like domino once it's implemented would be nuts. It wouldn't make characters totally useless, but you would have an advantage. The closest thing to having an extreme based on the basics is Akainu, because looking at Zeto, its main mechanic is the Dynastone. On the other hand, Akainu's basics of Magma are the peak of an extreme dedicated to basics, who unfortunately cannot resist Kizaru by traits. So you know, if you like the video, don't forget to leave a comment and subscription, that it always helps the channel. My name is Hito2U, and with me will be until next time. Adios!